Hello and welcome to the show. Thank you all for joining the show today. Well, it's always something going on, but we are so glad that you were able to join us. We've got special guests. This month, we are talking about the power of gratitude. And I have some phenomenal women coming on. We're going to be talking with Jenvon Cherry, also Miss Kimberly Hardy, and then, of course, Karen Wright Chisholm. So I want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy because it's coming up next. The Curry Insurance Agency has served the community for over 30 years with hundreds of trained representatives to assist you in selecting health plans. Curry Insurance Agency is the largest marketing insurance group in the state of South Carolina for Medicare Advantage and represents all major health carriers. Annual enrollment for Medicare Advantage is October the 15th through December the 7th. Curry's motto is people don't know how much you know until they know how much you care. Call Curry Insurance Agency today at 803-536-0889. Welcome back. Well, as I told you, we've got a great show planned for you. This month is all about the power of being gratitude. But during this time, we're going to be talking to all different types of folks. And this month, we chose to talk with the epilepsy warrior. That's who's coming on today. Well, let me tell you a little bit about her. She is the epilepsy warrior. She also founded the epitome of epilepsy. And she's here to join us today, Miss Jenvon Cherry. Come on out, Miss Cherry.
Hello.
Hey, how are you, Miss Cherry?
I'm good, Miss Tammy. How are you?
I am doing well. Listen, you can drop the miss and you can call me Tammy.
Okay,
And, and,
Tammy, I
and I'm
got you.
and I'm gonna call you Jen Vaughn. How about that? I tell you, it's great to have you on the show. As I said, this show is all about the power of gratitude. But having said that, we all go through life, and of course, this is Epilepsy Month. And you've got some things coming up, and I wanted to kind of talk with you about epilepsy. So, first of all, before we get started, I kind of want you to tell us a little bit about who is Jenvon Cherry.
Jenvon Cherry is a person that has had epilepsy for 30 years now. I was stabbed in my left eye with a pencil by a classmate at the age of 6 years old. And that devastating incident changed the span of my life. I have been on a journey to be an epilepsy advocate, especially in the African American community. Now that I am older, I have realized that my voice was voiceless. And now that I understand what my journey is supposed to be, I'm really trying to do a better job of being an advocate for people who have epilepsy, caregivers, little kids, because I was that child, young, having epilepsy, having seizures in classrooms, and no one really knowing what to do. So I feel
Mhm.
like now in my older years, my purpose is to bring more awareness for epilepsy.
Wow. And as we're talking about epilepsy, I kind of want you to give us a definition because for folks that don't know about epilepsy, there are different types, and it doesn't look the same on everybody. For instance, and being in the healthcare field, some folks will just stare. And could be having an epileptic seizure.
Mhm.
Others can have the shakes, the tremors that people are used to seeing. So I kind of
Mhm.
want you to kind of talk to us about that and give us a little bit about what epilepsy is.
Epilepsy is a neurological brain disorder. Epilepsy and seizures can mean two different things. You can have one seizure, but that does not diagnose you to have epilepsy. Epilepsy is 2 to 3 more reoccurrence of a seizure. With me, I have the convulsions of the what you see on TV. I also have staring absent seizures. I have seizures in my sleep. And sometimes, like you said, seizures don't all look the same to whomever is diagnosed with epilepsy. Like my friend Kimberly, she has been seizure free for a couple of years now. She just had a seizure recently, a couple of months ago. But I know people who suffer from seizures that have seizures 3 to 4, 40 seizures a day. So
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I think I'm blessed in the sense I call my seizures bossy because they may not come every day, or when they do come, they come in clusters. I have 2 to 3, sometimes 4 in a day, and then I won't have anything for 6 months, 3 months. But it really just depends on the person. You have to know your aura. Sometimes you get a feeling, tingling of the hands, smelling of an orange or aluminum, sweaty palms, headache, mood swings. Those can all be a sign that a seizure is approaching.
And when you get those signs, Jenvon, what are you able to do?
Um, I will say when I was younger, I didn't realize what the signs were. I had to really start paying attention to my body to understand, okay, this is not right. I do live alone. So if I know that I feel like I'm going to get sick, I will go stay with my mom just to be on the safe side. I'll call her or she'll just come over here to be with me at my house. But sometimes I may not be at work. I mean, at home, I may be at work and I have to let my coworkers know I don't feel right. If that's the case, I would just want you to lay me down. You don't
Mm-hmm.
need to put anything in my mouth. You don't need to hold me because then you're going to hurt me and yourself as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Mm-hmm.
just need to let the person have the seizure. Don't put anything in their mouth. Lean them on the side so if they are vomiting, that it will come up and they don't choke. And put
Mm-hmm.
something through their head just in case they don't bump their head.
And Jen Vaughn, you just said something important because when we see on television, as you said, you always see somebody saying, "Oh, you got to put something in their mouth so they won't bite their tongue." What's the
Mhm.
myth about that? And is there a myth about that?
So the myth about the tongue is that we used to hear that we would swallow our tongues, but that is impossible for you to
Mm-hmm.
swallow your
Swallow your
tongue.
tongue.
The
Yes.
only thing that they may do is try to put something in your mouth to keep us from clenching down on our tongue and our teeth, but that's imperative. It's not going to work. So you just really need to let the person have the seizure. Even if you see that they're biting on their tongue, majority of us, I know for me, when I have a seizure, my tongue is really sore, but putting something in our mouth is way more dangerous than
Mm-hmm.
anything else.
Yeah. And how long do seizures usually last?
Seizures can last between 60 seconds to 2 minutes. If it exceeds over 2 to 5 minutes, you will need to call EMS.
Okay.
If
So
they're unconscious for way too long.
you're teaching us a whole lot for a lot of people that don't know about epilepsy, and haven't been around someone
Mhm.
who has had epilepsy. And in the Bible, they call them fits.
Yes, they
Um,
do.
yeah,
Mhm.
and so my question is, through this journey, what are some of the obstacles that you faced?
Um, if I will be personal, I am no longer able to have kids because of seizure medications that I've taken throughout my 30 years. I had doctors tell me that I would not be able to graduate from high school, college, because my lifespan would be a vegetable state.
Hmm.
But I have gone on to do both. I have also had graduation. I almost couldn't graduate because I had so many seizures during college that they didn't want me to graduate. But God is good and God was able to make it a way. And I think through life, through journeys, you have trials, you have tribulations that you just have to go through. But I think to me, it just made me stronger and it shaped me for the person who I am now.
Wow, look at that gratitude. Because God will do it. He'll do it all the time. So,
All the
I want
time.
to talk with you about what influenced you to start the epitome of epilepsy and talk about what epitome of epilepsy is.
The Epitome of Epilepsy is a nonprofit organization that I started because I wanted to make sure that I was doing my part by being an advocate for the epilepsy community. Like I said before, you have voiceless people who have epilepsy that are embarrassed to say that they have a chronic illness. They are ashamed and fearful of being bullied if they're in school. So my thought was I wanted to have an organization where people could come to get educated and see people that were like them. It's hard to be in a room full of people and you know that any moment you can have a seizure, but that's not something that the next person can relate to. So I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to have a place where people can have an open forum, get education, seizure 101, safety 101. I just wanted to make people comfortable. And that came to me. It took a few years for me to realize this is what I was supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
But when I finally realized, here comes the epitome of epilepsy.
Wow, the epitome of epilepsy. And how can people help you? Being a nonprofit organization, a lot of times funds are needed. That's one. But two, there's also, you need other advocates as well as speakers and people who will talk about it, doctors, those types of things. What can people do to help you with epitome of epilepsy?
People can honestly come out to the walk on Saturday. They can advocate by letting us. We have a show called Purple Table Talk, Kimberly and I, and we've been trying to find doctors to come on the show with us. We've been trying to find other epilepsy advocates to come on the show with us. We really want to make sure that we put out a platform that is authentic and genuine for other people who are like us. And it's sometimes it can be hard because sometimes when I say like us, I mean African American women, African American men. Volunteering sometimes previously, I didn't see people like that. And that
Hmm.
was the biggest thing for me and Kimberly to make sure that we put a strong force in our community as well.
And that's so important because in the African American community, you do not hear about people talking about epilepsy. As you said, it's almost taboo. Just like
Mhm,
going to the doctor, going to the mental health therapist, it's
mhm,
taboo to talk about epilepsy. Well, they have a fit, and child, we all right with that, and we'll work through that. God will
mhm,
work that out,
mhm,
and that type of thing. So I'm glad to see that you have founded an organization like this and that people can really help. And I do want to say that Kimberly Hardy, who is the
mhm,
founder of Hardy Hands Foundation, couldn't be with us as planned. And we're praying for her and wanting her to make sure that she's okay. And I know she's
mhm.
got a lot to do for the walk, but we want to thank her again. And I want you to kind of, since she's not here, in her absence, kind of tell us a little bit because you are the co-executive Chief Executive Officer for Hardy Hands Foundation. Talk about that a little bit.
Kimberly Hardy is the founder of Hardy Hands Foundation, and she is based out of Columbia, South Carolina. She has been advocating for epilepsy in Columbia for 4 years now. She loves talking to kids. She is the author. She has a few books out as well. She really specializes in having a niche to talk to kids about epilepsy, and she loves dogs. She has a dog, and her dog has gotten her through her seizure journey as well. And those are two of her passions, kids and dog seizure 101. If you don't know, people who have epilepsy can get a seizure dog, first aid dog.
Mm,
And the dog can be aware of seizure activity before you even know. So the
mm.
dog will sometimes come near you, stand up on you to make sure that you don't fall. And if you get that alert, you automatically need to lay down. So this dog has really been a lifesaver for Kimberly.
Wow, a seizure dog. I
Mhm.
remember reading about seizure dogs because it's almost like they have a sense that they can smell.
Mhm.
They can smell that particular chemical that will trigger
Yep.
the epileptic attack. And
Mhm.
so, and I shouldn't say attack. I mean, it really is. It's an episode. I should say an episode. So excuse me for using that. But yeah, that's something. So you don't have a seizure dog.
No,
You don't like
so
dogs.
no, I love dogs actually. Like I really love dogs. But I think there are people, organizations rather, that can help you get dogs. I think for
Okay.
me, it's just you have to get training. You have to
Mm-hmm.
be there when the dogs are trained to
Mm.
allow the dog to help you through your seizure journey. I've never been able because it's nothing like that here in Charleston. I would have to fly to. I know there's one in San Francisco, but I'm regardless of the seizure dog, I will get a dog just to be in the house because I live by myself. So a dog is
Mm-hmm.
healthy. A dog is a good idea if you do have epilepsy.
Wow. So let's talk about the walk. Tiana, let's show the flyer of the walk. And I kind of want you to talk about the walk, Jenvon.
So Saturday, November the 4th, Kimberly and I will be having our first Purple Warrior Walk for Epilepsy. It will be in Columbia, South Carolina at the Christian Faith Fellowship Church, 2526 Alpine Road. And we have vendors coming out. We have food vendors. We have games, prizes, raffles, a DJ. And we really just want people to not just come out for the walk, but just to kind of inform a little bit more about something you didn't know coming into the walk about epilepsy. We just want to make sure you believe you know one thing. That's all we want to know. The
Hmm.
starts, and I think for Kimberly and I, we're so nervous because this is our first event, and we
Hmm.
just want to make sure everything is successful. So we're really nervous, but Saturday is a big deal for both of us.
Yeah, and it's gonna be all right.
That's the
You've already set the tone, so it's gonna be just fine. Just believe me, just fine. And I wish I could be out there with you, but I'll be at another event.
thing.
But I know it's gonna be great. And how can people contribute to the walk? What do they need to
People
do?
can contribute to the walk by donating to KH187. That is our Cash App. And they can also donate to the walk by giving donations to Kimberly and myself. We are also still looking for vendors. We're still looking for volunteers, especially volunteers. But if you just want to come out just to support, we would just really appreciate it, honestly.
Okay, and how long is the walk gonna be? How many
The walk
miles?
is from 9 a.m. to 12 a.m., and the walk is 2 miles.
2 miles.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's the easy
All
walk.
right. That's an easy walk.
Easy.
Not a run. So don't come out there to try
Right.
and run, folks. Come on out there to walk, not to run.
Walk.
Okay? Okay, it's a walk. Listen, walking for epilepsy. So let's talk about grateful because gratitude, as I said, this is the power of gratitude. And listening to you over the last 30 years, as you said, you have epilepsy and you've had your your seizures. Talk about what in your current state of life, what are you grateful for right now?
I'm grateful to still be alive. Some people that have epilepsy aren't here. Some people that experience more seizures than I do are no longer here. So every day I get up and I'm grateful that I did not have a seizure in my sleep. I'm able to wake up and thank God for allowing me to have another day. I'm grateful for God for giving me this platform to speak on. I'm grateful because He chose me. Everybody has a cross to bear and everyone has a story. And this is the story He gave me and He allowed me to share with other people. And those are the things that I'm grateful for.
Wow, wow. And I want to go back to something that you said. You said you're grateful for not having a seizure in your sleep. How do
Mhm.
you know when you wake up in the morning that you've had a seizure? Or what tells you that?
So usually if I'm sleeping and I wake up, I usually have a hard time getting up. I'm really groggy. I have a headache and I'm nauseous. And out of all, I am sore. My whole body hurts from the head to the bottom. I feel like I have been ran over by a Mack truck.
Mm.
That's usually the feeling. I had a seizure a couple weeks ago, and that's what happened. I had a seizure in my sleep. I automatically knew when I got up that I had had a seizure. Even
Mm-hmm.
though it was in my sleep, I can just feel how my body felt.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, sometimes those are the worst seizures, even though I do live in here by myself in my house. But I'm thankful that I didn't fall off the bed, that I was able to wake up. And that's that's what I call grateful. Because
Wow.
sometimes, it can get a little bad, but I
Mm-hmm.
was grateful.
Wow, wow. So share with some of the viewers, and someone might be out there looking right now that goes through seizures as well, that has epilepsy. What would you say to them as the epilepsy warrior? What would you say to them now?
I would say, don't give up. Everything gets easier. There are a lot of things out there, medications, surgeries that can help you live a longer life. I would say join a support group. because that would help. You would understand your symptoms and the feelings that you're going through. You would definitely realize that you're not alone. I would say journal. Sometimes writing is a source of therapy. And I would say that no one knows your story better than you. So I would say have a lot of confidence. Don't
Mm.
allow anyone to shut you down or shut you out. Use your voice.
Wow, wow. And that's exactly what you did to get through all of this. And what was it like having kids, being with other kids as a child? What was that experience like for you?
So for me, I having seizures and being around other kids, I was picked on. I was bullied a lot. And it definitely made me have a hard exterior because I didn't know any other way. No one around me had epilepsy. No one around me had seizures. So to have seizures in the classroom, college, I felt alone and isolated.
Hmm.
So I started to do other things and join other organizations. I realized there were other people like myself, but it definitely can be stressful as a young child growing up and having to explain to teachers with your parents. I had to take, I remember taking resource classes in high school and being bullied because I was walked or looked at as someone who had a disability,
Hmm.
which
Hmm.
come in different phases, different, looks. And I have an invisible disability. You can't tell anything is wrong with me until I literally fall out. But
Hmm.
um, I think you have to be a tough person to be a young person to deal with these things.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, and that comes with anything in life.
right.
And Jenvon, I am so glad that I've had the opportunity to talk with you, because this is a topic that people do not discuss. And I've been saying that about different topics on the show, that people don't talk about this, especially in the African American community. And so I'm glad that you are the epilepsy warrior. You're having this purple table talk, and I'm looking forward to being a part and seeing that talk. And I want you to tell us, when is the Purple Table Talk on?
Purple Table Talk. We did an episode last month, but now with the walk, we're trying to make sure the walk is okay. But we will be back on next Saturday at 4 o'clock on YouTube, where our discussion will be epilepsy and dating.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's going to be an interesting one. Give us a snippet, a snippet. We've got a little time, but give us a
Time.
snippet of what
Um,
that
so
is going to
Kimberly and
be
I will
like.
be talking about epilepsy and dating, how to bridge the gap between meeting someone, when to let them know the right time when you have epilepsy, dealing with men who may not be open to dating you because you have to go through this. I don't drive, so I wanted to talk about the epilepsy and dating because I know my journey through dating has been kind of difficult. So, being the fact that I don't drive, Kimberly drives, but I don't.
Hmm.
So, start dating and trying to meet new people, sometimes you get guys that may not be on board or supportive. So we're
Hmm.
just kind of going to go through and navigate and talk about epilepsy and dating and how we've managed to deal.
Well, I'm going to definitely be listening to that one. Because I'm telling you, you're so right. And that's just not with epilepsy, honey. That's with anything, man,
Right,
period.
anything, men, period,
Period.
anything,
Period.
anything.
I'm telling you, period. So listen, Tiana, please show us how we can get in touch with Miss Jen Vaughn, so that if someone wants to get in touch with you, you got Facebook, Epitome of Epilepsy, you got your IG account, Michelle Bliss Talk Show, and and your show is the Purple Table Talk. So
Yes.
if anybody wants to get in touch with you, and tell us again when the walk is.
The walk is November 4th, this coming Saturday at 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Christian Faith Fellowship Church, 2526 Alpine Road. We cannot wait to see everyone there.
Okay, and it's November the 6th, not the 4th. It's November the 6th,
I'm
right,
sorry. No,
Jenvon?
yes,
That's
it's
okay.
November
I
the
just
6th.
want to make
I
sure
did. I'm sorry. Yes, I
that
did.
that's all
Tomorrow is
right.
the 4th.
That's right, tomorrow is the 4th. So it's
Oh,
November the 6th.
goodness.
Listen, we're looking forward to that. Is there anything else that you can share? What's next for your foundations, Hardy Hands, and also Epitome of Epilepsy? What's next for you all?
We are really trying to do some more things next year, collaborating together and separately. Next year, we have our second big event, which is our gala for 2022. And with our gala, we will be celebrating epilepsy advocates, three of them. We have chosen three. Now we're still in our planning stages, but that is our big event for 2022, which I'm,
Well,
I'm really excited because I'm a gala girl. I'm ready to put on my dress now.
oh, that's what I'm talking about. And is it going to be purple?
Yes, of course. What other way would there be?
And so you said that's in 2022. Now, have you all decided what city that's going to be in yet?
It will. We haven't decided. We don't know if it's going to be in Charleston or Columbia yet.
Okay.
Once the walk is over, we'll probably get to discussing that because we're going to definitely have to find a venue and decorations, food. But that's our big event for next year. We're really excited. And in March, March 26th is Epilepsy Awareness Day, and we are having
A 90s.
a 90s skate party.
Oh, that's going to be in Charleston.
Yes, that will be in Charleston.
All right. So March the 26th of next year is Epilepsy
Mhm.
Day, and then you all are going to have a skate
Skate
party.
party.
All
Yes.
right. Bounce, roll, skate.
Bounce roll skate.
That's what I'm talking about. Well, listen, before you leave, I want to ask you what I ask all of my guests. What are three words that describe you?
Confident, fearless, and brave.
Fearless and brave. Confident, fearless, and brave. Wow. I tell you what, Jenvon, I have enjoyed talking with you. I mean, you shared so many nuggets, and I really appreciate you being so transparent
Of
and being
course.
able to come on and share your story and also being personal with it as
Hmm.
well. And I'm hoping that folks that are now listening will be able to know a little bit more about epilepsy
I
and
hope.
how you can help them as the
Hmm.
epilepsy warrior.
Yes. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for giving me the platform and the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Oh, you are quite welcome. And God bless you and all that you have going on. And I tell you, with the walk, it's going to be very successful. You're going to call me and say, Tammy, you were right.
Yes.
Because I'm telling you, it's all God's all in it, girl. Hey, listen,
All the
it's going to be
time.
great. It's going to be
Yes.
great. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And if we can help in any way, please let us know, okay?
I surely will. Thank you so
Uh,
much.
all right. Thank you, Jen Vaughn. You take care of
Bye.
yourself.
You too. Bye
Bye.
bye.
Okay. Listen, I love talking with people who are transparent and who share their life stories and who are just so full of life, and no matter what they're going through, whatever obstacles they face. And she's real. And so I hope you enjoyed that segment. We're going to come back because you're going to meet a chief master sergeant. I know I said it right this time. Chief master sergeant. But she's a special woman, and I've known her just about all my life. I think that's right, Ken. So listen, sit back, relax, and enjoy because we're coming right back. The Curry Insurance Agency has served the community for over 30 years with hundreds of trained representatives to assist you in selecting health plans. Curry Insurance Agency is the largest marketing insurance group in the state of South Carolina for Medicare Advantage and represents all major health carriers. Annual enrollment for Medicare Advantage is October the 15th through December the 7th. Curry's motto is people don't know how much you know until they know how much you care. Call Curry Insurance Agency today at 803-536-0889.
The Cecil Williams South Carolina Civil Rights Museum is the Palmetto State's first and only museum. It honors a generation of people, black and white, throughout the state of South Carolina who deserve to be remembered for their unselfish commitments and sacrifices. Enjoy an immersive and entertaining virtual tour. For more information, visit www.cecilwilliams.com.
Welcome back to the show. Well, if you are just joining us, you missed the first segment, a great segment with Jenvon Cherry talking about epilepsy, because this is Epilepsy Month. But again, this is the power of gratitude. That's what we're starting this series of November. It's all about being grateful. And so, wow, I am excited because now I get to introduce Chief Master Sergeant in the Air Force. She was the first female and the first black to hold the position of superintendent. She's a podcaster, she's a speaker, she's a host, she's the author of her brand new book. It's called You Deserve Life, and she's a contributing author in the Camouflage Sisters. Without further ado, I want to introduce you to a dear friend of mine, Chief Master Sergeant Karen Wright Chisholm. Come on out, Karen.
Hi.
Hey, how are you, Karen?
I'm blessed. I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Wow, I tell you, I am so glad that you are free enough in your schedule to be on the Tammy Show. And just having you on, Karen, and I appreciate you so much because you are truly a trailblazer. And so I want to thank you for your service to our country, for all the years that you served our country, and for being my friend.
No problem. Thank you.
So listen, let's get started, Karen. First thing, I've been saying, Chief Master Sergeant, I want you to kind of, because we're going to go through all the other steps, but I
Okay.
want you to kind of talk about that experience of being in the Air Force
Okay.
and how you became Chief Master Sergeant in the Air Force.
It was a struggle. And if you understand that only 1% of people in the enlisted rank ever make it to Chief Master Sergeant. I retired after serving 27 years, 8 months, and 14 days. Like you said, I was the first Black female to become the superintendent of the 315 Mission Support Squadron in Charleston, South Carolina. I went into the Air Force at a late age. I was 31 years old when I went into the Air Force. And what prompted me to go into the Air Force was when I was experiencing, I had just come out of an abusive marriage where I was experiencing domestic violence. And I realized that once I got out of that marriage, I had to do something to be able to take care of my two children as a single parent. And I always wanted to be an airline stewardess. And so I thought the Air Force would give me that opportunity. So I joined the Air Force at 31 years old, and I was able to go through the ranks pretty fast, I had a whole lot of struggles going there so old because most of my TIs were 17 and 18-year-olds that actually looked at me like a mother figure when I went into the Air Force. But I made my way through it. I persevered and I just trusted God and made my ranks through. I never imagined that I would ever be a Chief Master Sergeant in the Air Force. That was not my goal. My goal was just to go to be able to provide a better life for my children that I was taking care of as a family.
And Karen, as you're talking about that, being in the Air Force, going in at 31 years old, I mean, even today, you can't even go in there at 31, can you?
You can. I think 33 is the cutoff age, and I have like 2 years before I would not have been able to go in. And so I went in there and I worked hard and had a whole lot of obstacles, a lot of barriers, dealing with a lot of things. But I just trusted God and persevered and made it through. But that was the best choice that I could make in my life at the time, considering the suffering that I had gone through prior to going in there.
Right. And last month I talked with Master Sergeant Carrie Thomas, and she was an abused woman as well, in the Air Force.
Right.
And so, as I said, this is the power of being of gratitude. But one of the things that I want to ask you about is how you went into the military, and this was after your abuse.
Right.
How were you able to really put yourself in the mindset that you were going to be able to put that behind you in some respect and move forward? Because a lot of women can't do that.
It was difficult because I had experienced it before going into the military. It made me very cautious and conscientious about the men that I was around in the military. And of course, as a female going into the military, you always have those situations where the dominating person is the male TIs, the male commanders and things of that sort. So I had to deal with some of that, putting you down, some of that discrimination, some of that, you're a woman, you don't know what you're talking. So I had to, just keep my guard on and just really deal with a lot. And, it was a struggle because you had to be so aware of your surroundings with them, because if you know about, men will tempt you. And there were some times that, I had to actually fight back to not be taken advantage of because I was. And so, I would have flashbacks because, when you get in close proximity with a man and experiencing the domestic violence in the marriage, I would have these flashbacks. And, you always want to go out fighting because you're thinking they're going to try to take advantage of you the way I had in that situation. So,
right. Yeah. And so what were the strategies that you used to help you get through that? Because for you to do that and become the person of being the Chief Master Sergeant after all those years, what were some of those strategies that you had to use to kind of work through that process?
Trusting God, praying, and just believing and trusting and knowing that, I was somebody and that I should not allow anyone to take anything away from me, because God gave me life, and as everyone deserves life. So I would always pray, always trusted God, and treated people the way I wanted to be treated and the way I expected to be treated. And I didn't, I took care of my troops, and you just have to just trust God. That was the thing that I held on to mostly.
Wow. So I wanna switch a little bit, because even though with you going through all that you went through, and to see you as powerful and as phenomenal as you are, Karen, let's talk about your experience as it relates to the chapter in Camouflage Sisters.
Right.
And your book, You Deserve Life. How do they relate to each other, or they are not related to each other?
They relate to each other because when I wrote in that book with the Camouflage Sisters, that was the first time I ever told the story. It had been 27 years after the domestic violence situation where I met Lala Hawley, who was the visionary for that Camouflage Sisters. And she asked me to write. And I just wrote a chapter, and it was just a snippet of what I knew one day I was going to have to tell the whole story. So it is actually the same story that I gave a little tidbit of it in the Camouflage Sisters Silent No More. And there were other female veterans in that book that were also co-authors that wrote about stories and things that they experienced from domestic violence, sexual harassment, anxiety, depression. And we became #1. That was my very first time ever writing.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I remember we were at a conference and you bought your computer and all you did was write.
That's right.
You barely made it to the gala.
That's right. It took me 2 years to write that story because I kept saying, because the book came out in 2017, and I kept saying, I need to write it. I need to write it. I need to write it. And I kept putting off. And when you saw me at that conference, I took that whole week and I just sat down at the computer and I just started putting my thoughts down, putting pen to paper, and it was a success. So
yeah, and that's what happened. So the next book, this new book, You Deserve Life. Let's talk about You Deserve Life because this is your baby.
That's right. Yeah.
Talk about that, Karen.
I said, we all come from all different backgrounds, and everybody goes through so many things in their life. And I was listening to the young lady that was just on the line before talking about the epilepsy and talking about how she just is just so grateful. And, and it just took me back to the point that no matter what you go through in life, what you experience, be it domestic violence, be it some kind of disease, some kind of cancer, or whatever, you deserve life. God put us all here for a purpose. And doesn't matter what you go through in life, know that your life has a purpose. And we may not all the time realize what that purpose is until later on in our lives. But everyone deserves life. And that, and I based a lot of stuff. I look at a lot of situations that I experienced, not only with me, but, growing up in the community and seeing things and knowing about, especially my girlfriend's young 15-year-old granddaughter that was killed by her 17-year-old boyfriend. And, things about, I had a niece that was killed in a head-on collision by a drunk driver. And, don't let anyone take your life away from, people take your life away from you. And we get into these situations and no one has the right to deprive you of your life. God, gave all of us an opportunity. And when somebody kills somebody or, something that's not a natural death or whatever, and taking somebody's life away. And no one has the right to do that. So that's what I wanted to, portray in this, life. No matter what you think, or no matter what you go through, everybody deserves a chance.
Yeah.
And,
that's right. And what's your favorite chapter in the book?
Ooh. I think my favorite, I hadn't really thought about it, but my favorite chapter, I think, was when I talked about my grandmother that nurtured me so much when I was a child. See, I could start to get emotional. That how she just nurtured me to let me understand and know that, some of the things that I was going through, when I was a child, I was born with cop feet. And I had these braces on my leg. And those, those brown shoes you used to see on the marching times, poster child.
Cassius Brothers, down in Charleston.
That's right. And I had this steel thing on my leg that I never thought I would be able to walk. And my sisters and brothers used to tease me and call me the polio child or whatever. And my grandmother would always be there to encourage me that don't let it bother you that, you're special, just like everybody else. Even though you had these situations, I had that. She always would encourage me to just be strong.
Mm, mm. All right, you're gonna make me cry. And it's always somebody who's older that sees us, and God will let you know just through a person how special you are and that he sees you. And Karen, as we're talking and I asked you what your favorite part was in the book, your favorite chapter, and you weren't expecting that, to hear you talk about your grandmother and to see your life and see where you are now. She called it.
Oh,
I mean, she called it, girl, you
yeah.
know? And that is truly a blessing. And so I will ask you the question, what life experiences are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for the fact that I am still alive today, because I'm grateful for the fact that God gave me the spirit of discernment and the spirit, the wisdom and the understand when it was time for me to get out of that situation. Because I believe now that if I didn't leave when I did, I would not be alive today to tell the story. So I'm grateful for life and the opportunity to share my story.
Wow. For folks that are just joining us and talking with Chief Master Sergeant Karen Wright Chisholm, retired, um, what 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 prompted you to know that it was time for you to leave in your abusive marriage?
I don't know. I think something woke me up one night. There had been situations where I would have the altercations and I would leave and go back, leave and go back. And he would always say, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do it. I love you. And I would leave and go back I can't even count the amount of times that I went back. And I never forget that day. It was August 1st. And God just woke me up out of my sleep. And the spirit just came across me and said to me, it's time for you to get out. And he had just gone to work. And I called my two brothers and my then sister-in-law that lived around the corner from me. And I told them, I need you guys to come help me move. And they came and we packed up everything in the house. And he was due to get off work at 3:00 that afternoon. We packed up everything, lock, stock, and barrel, loaded it on the truck. I called the landlord, told him I had to leave, I had to get out. And we pulled out of that driveway and left.
And you didn't look back.
Didn't look back. And I think he realized at that time was not going to be a time that I was going to come back, because he came to the house and my sister interceded, and he came to the door for 2 weeks straight, ringing the bell, trying to see me. And she said, what about she doesn't want to see you? You don't understand. And she kept on with because I knew if I had talked to him, then I probably would let him to go back. But after 2 weeks of him trying to get me to go back, she would not let him in. And I didn't see him, and he left town. And that was it. That was it. That was it.
And that's what we talk about, that support system. Having that support system. So Karen, I'm going to ask you this, and it's about the Centralized Moment LLC.
Right.
What does Centralized Moment mean to you, and why did you start this foundation, this organization?
I started this organization. It was on the onset when COVID started. And I, being a domestic violence I say survivor because I'm no longer a victim,
That's
survivor.
right. Mm-hmm.
I realized that so many women were stuck in their homes, possibly with their abusers. So I went on Facebook Live one day and I was talking about my story. And I was talking about, just trying to reach out, knowing that, people weren't coming out the homes and family wasn't allowed to go into the homes. And people were kind of like stuck in these homes. And I started talking about the domestic violence, and a friend of mine said, you need to go on the radio with that. And I reached out to a few people, but nothing happened. So I decided to do a Zoom platform where I would just open it up for women if they wanted to come on, even if they couldn't speak or, they were afraid that whoever was in the house with them would hear them, they could come and listen. And we had women from all over the United States coming on this call. We started off with about 15 to 20 women. Sunday night at 8:00 on Zoom. And it grew from 20 women to 55, 60 plus women from across the United States. And we are still going strong. Since COVID, March 2020, we are still doing these episodes every Sunday at 8:00 on Zoom.
That's right.
And we have had so many women that have gotten their breakthrough. And not only talking about domestic violence, we talk about issues that women deal with. We get spiritual. A lot of the women call it Bible study. Now we have topics, but we talk about things from the Bible and how it relates. And we just have we have real talk, and we just have conversations. And it's not even the same 60 plus woman every Sunday. Sometimes we get new women and they just come on and share their stories. And sometimes we listen. Sometimes I teach. Sometimes somebody else teaches. My partner, Reverend Dr. Cassandra Williams, he preaches. Sometimes so if you miss your church service, sometimes we have just a good time on Zoom. And we only keep them for an hour. And so many women get so much of a breakthrough from that. So as long as, God allows me, we're going to continue to reach out to them. And so as a result of that, we ended up opening up, started the LLC and a nonprofit. And right now we're working on a women's center that's called the Centralized Moment that focuses you. And I'm utilizing the house that I grew up in and turning it into a women's center where a woman can come and meet other women that may be experiencing some, domestic violence, homelessness, or whatever. And in this house, we have a resource center where they can get books. We have information about help that they need. We're setting up a clothes closet. If they need clothes, they can come and get the clothes. And we have a boardroom and a nice low internet cafe where they can come if they need to utilize the internet. And then we have a space where if someone is fleeing and they need help, and they need to stay overnight, we try to help them transition from that domestic violence situation into a situation where they could breathe, because there's so many women out there, and there's some women out there that have children that are right. And fleeing and don't have anywhere to go. So at this moment, the focus is you, because we believe that this is the time, in a time such as this. This is a moment, and we want to reiterate that the focus is you, whoever she is, or whoever you are. There is a spot, that we are there to help and assist in any way that we can. And we don't advertise the location because we don't want the abusers to kind of like follow them and find out where they are and things like that. So we try to keep private. So that's
Karen, that's phenomenal. I mean, a transitional home for women, battered women. I mean, that's phenomenal. You know, you don't, like I say, when your grandmother spoke over you, child, she spoke over you. I'm
Yeah.
telling you. So let's talk about Centralized Moment. Tell us, because we don't have a lot of time, but I want you to tell people how they can watch and listen in to Centralized Moment.
Okay, they can watch. I think the the best way to do it now is to email at centralizedmomentllc@gmail.com. Again, centralizedmomentllc@gmail.com. And then that way, I'll get the email and I'll send you a link that you could actually come on. And each week we send the reminder link out to people. And we had to do that because we got infiltrated one time when we put it out on
Mm,
Twitter, and we had some people that came out with some obscene things. So we try to have people
mm-hmm.
register for it in advance.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So centralizedmoment@gmail.com.
Centralized Moment LLC.
LLC at
Yeah.
gmail.com. Okay, and
Right.
we'll put that up before we close so everybody can see it. So
Okay.
Karen, I asked you what you were grateful for, and you told me you were grateful for life. And you have beautiful children and grandchildren.
Yeah, great
Oh, that and
children.
oh, great grand too. Oh my goodness, great grand. Oh wow. Wow. And that truly is a blessing. And so I want you to kind of just sum up what's the takeaway at this point when we talk about You Deserve Life, your best-selling book. What's the takeaway that you want the viewers to know?
Okay, my motto is you never underestimate the power of someone else's struggle unless you walked in their shoes.
Mm,
So you can't just dismiss anybody's life because you don't know what people go through, what people experience, or whatever, you just don't know. And God has promised us eternal life. But in order to get there, we got to walk through this life.
mm-hmm.
Okay, so, and just, you deserve life. And as long as you trust God, obey his word, and just be the best person that you can be while you're on this earth. And just know that, you deserve life. No matter
Yeah.
whatever the struggle is, you can get through that. Don't,
Mm-hmm.
don't, don't just stop living because you think something isn't going right with you. Fight for your life. Hold on to your life and just be
That's
who
right.
you are and be God's
Keep
child. So
keep going.
keep
Keep
going.
going.
Keep
Keep
going.
going.
Give you the
Wow.
opportunity to wake up. 'Cause,
Yeah. Yeah.
just like I said in the beginning of that book, that vision is my niece that's walking into the hands of God. And
Mm-hmm.
the blurriness of that tells us that we don't know about the uncertainty of life. We don't know if we're going to wake up in the morning sometimes. We don't, so we got to know that, we just got to trust.
We
And
gotta trust. We gotta trust. So Karen, in 30 seconds, what's next for you? What's next?
whew, what's next? My what I want to do, what I'm working on, my plan is to build a 72-bed facility somewhere in this city, North Charleston, city of Charleston, somewhere. 72-bed facility where domestic violence victims, homeless females, especially those with children, can have a venue where they can come and lay their heads.
Mm,
And to build this 72-bed facility with a chapel, with beds, with a gym, whatever, to be able to help these women, because we know that they are out there. We don't all, women tend to have so much pride. A lot of times we don't tell people what we're going through.
That's right.
And we have
That's right.
people out there that are suffering and need some place to live, and I want to be able to provide that. So
Wow.
that, that,
Wow.
that's my goal.
And I already see it. It's
I'm,
already
I'm
probably
claiming it. I'm claiming it.
it's already in the process. It's already in the process.
It's already done. I'm claiming
Yeah, it's already done. So
it.
Karen, what are the 3 words that describe you?
Blessed, humble, and courageous.
And courageous. Wow. Well, Master Sergeant, I tell you, Chief Master Sergeant, I thank you so much for being on the show, Karen. You know, I love you, and I pray that God will continue to bless you and your family, and you just keep doing it. And you know, you have my support. If there's anything I can do, all you have to do is call, right? Just like you called me. Just call.
That's right.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you so much for the opportunity.
Oh,
God
thank you.
bless you.
Oh, thank you, Karen, and God bless you. And you deserve life, girl. I love it. I'm excited for you. I am
Thank,
excited for you, Karen.
thank
So
you.
continue to do what you do, and continue to have that faith and that trust that you have, and just keep shining. That light just keep shining, girl.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you so much for being on the show. Take care. Love you.
More.
All right. All right. Bye bye. Wow. Listen, we this show is so good. I tell you what, to have Chief Master Karen Wright Chisholm on the show with me talking about You Deserve Life, her book, her best-selling book, talk about that, and to have Jenvon Cherry on earlier, talking about epilepsy. Uh, tell you what, great show. And so again, I want to thank you for viewers for always tuning in to the show, listen, making your comments, letting us know that you're out there. And if we can do anything here on the Tammy Show, all you have to do is get in touch with us at info@tammymccotry.com. I want to thank my producer, Alicia. I want to thank my assistant producer, of course, Tiana, for all that she does. And remember, please subscribe to the Tammy TV Show. That's what it's called, Tammy TV Show, right on YouTube. Remember, let's be a blessing to someone today and every day. Please do that, because life is too short. Karen already said it. You deserve life. Life is too short. Have a great and safe and blessed week. Remember, wash your hands, wear your mask, social distance. And until the next time, take care of yourself. Thanks for joining the show. Bye bye.